So how do you get some of that? Well, first of all, if you have fiat money, a lot of it just sitting around, I encourage you to buy something else with it, because it's not worth anything. And the more I get through this presentation, the more you're going to find that it's just worth less and less and less and less. It is literally today virtually worthless, and people just haven't discovered that in large enough numbers yet for us to have a massive situation in an energy crisis. But it is coming, and it's coming soon. So you can either get scared or do something about it. What do you want to do? That makes sense? So let's get into this really quick. So they discovered this phenomenon. They started printing paper money out of thin air in different currencies. That has caused the collapse of 600 civilizations. But in the process of that collapse, has created some of the wealthiest people in the history of the world. See, because what the smartest merchants in the world, what they do, is they create the rules that everybody else plays by. What is the people who create the money systems, what do they have to do for money? Hit a print button. What do you have to do for money? Here's what you have to do. You have to get somebody else to give it to you. It's the only place you can get it. Isn't that funny? It used to be that you had some things that you did, you were a massage therapist and you gave a massage and you got an apple. Today, in order to have money, somebody has to give it to you. So we're taught our entire lives in modern society, like it's normal, that we're meant as human beings to do the following. Let me explain to you where this goes. And some of you guys might be a little bit lost, but let me assure you this is going somewhere that I think is quite valuable and important. We're taught something that's so hilarious when you think about it, you just want to burst into laugh. I'm not kidding. You want to just fall down laughing when you actually think about it. But we're taught it, and we sit there with straight faces for 18 years, being taught by our parents, schools, by federal government, by television, by shows, by mind virus, that this is what we're supposed to do in a modern, evolved society. We're supposed to get up in the morning with an alarm clock that wakes us out of our restful sleep. Alright, now first of all, that's the easiest way to ruin a day. If you have an alarm clock, I'd encourage you to smash it with a hammer immediately. And the second thing that we're supposed to do is we're supposed to take a shower. We're supposed to brush our teeth. We're supposed to smell nice because we want to impress all the other people that were around. The next thing that we're supposed to do is hop in a car that's only been around for the next 100 years, or a bus, or a boat, or whatever it is, and we're supposed to go to school when we're a kid and work when we're an adult, and we're supposed to sit there for 8 hours a day like it's normal, listening to boring nonsense that's supposed to teach us useful stuff in life that really, even if you wanted to, you can't do anything with. Today, last year, I made over $350,000, did millions of dollars worth of sales in several different businesses, and I'll tell you what, not one thing that I did came from anything that I learned in school. School is worthless, and it teaches people how to subscribe to a system that keeps them poor. So if you've been poor your whole life, yeah, you can get mad, but let's do something about it. Stop blaming people and just realize, yes, you were lied to about money. No, you don't have to go to a job. And then for the rest of our lives, until we're 65, past the prime of enjoyment in our life, here's what we are supposed to do. 5 days a week, and they're increasing it around the world, by the way. 5 days a week. We're supposed to go for 8 hours a day. We're supposed to work for a boss that may fire us at any time he chooses. We're supposed to listen to bullcrap constantly on TV, and we're supposed to do this for a measly paycheck that we can barely survive at. And here's the kicker. We're supposed to do a job that we're not even good at and that we don't even like. And that's life, they say. Folks, I want to put something in perspective here. Let's say you didn't have the belly, okay, that you have from being stressed and over drinking at night because you're stressed from doing crap that you hate doing all day. Let's say that you didn't have the arthritis from eating the lame food that makes your blood acidic, and that you were living in a natural environment in pristine health. What would you rather do? Work 4 hours a day in a pre-agriculture society, hunting and gathering and hanging out with your family, enjoying the beaches of the world? Or would you rather do this? There's no contest, is there? Doesn't even matter. Okay, you say, oh, my back hurts, I couldn't do that. No. Because if you were doing this, you would be out lifting, you would be out essentially one of the strongest people in the world today. You would have robust health, never have had a cavity in your life, live in the way your biology is designed to support you to live. Therefore, you don't have the anxiety that you have now. You don't have the presuppositions you have now. You're living the way you're dreaming of living when you're 60 and 70 years old, and you're living there now. I want you to think about something. If you were never told you needed money, and you were only living and being 4 hours a day, and doing what you wanted to do, and somebody introduced you to this, I mean, you'd probably puke on their shoes. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard to do. But today, you can't even do that if you want. In fact, if you tried to go out and, say, be a subsistence person, there's a few states that technically you are allowed to do it, where you got to go, first of all, get approval from a government. You got to get approval for them, and then you got to go out and you got to stay within certain bounds. You can't wander to where the best food is, because you got to stay in a certain area when you're doing it. You can't even do it if you want to. If you've got a house, you got to pay for the house. Even if it's paid off, you've got to have money from somewhere to pay the land taxes, because if you don't pay the land taxes, your house gets repossessed. So guess what? If you're not doing something to get money that's created out of thin air into your life, if you're not actively engaged in getting money into your life, you can't even live, meaning you are forced and owned to live by rules that don't make any sense. So understanding that it might be like that for a little while until we all get mad and throw it down, which hopefully we'll do at one point or another, or come up with a better, more sane solution. I am a little bit crazy, I mean, look at my hair. Let's realize that that's the way that it is, stop complaining about it, and try to figure out, now how can I work 4 hours a day or less, just like I would have in a pre-agriculture society, breathe the freshest air in the world, travel where I want to travel, take advantage of all the coolest things in life, have great relationships, have lots of great sex with my spouse, with my partner. And how can I live a life like this without working all day and take advantage in the loopholes of the rich? Well, I'm about to tell you. So how do you get the money that is floating around out there? Because even though I tore up that $10 bill, and that's probably illegal by one stretch of the imagination or another, even though I tore it into little pieces because it's just trash and toilet paper as far as I'm concerned. I've got gold and silver. I'm not going to need this $10 bill, right? Even though I tore it up, how did I get it? Here's a breakthrough, and this will break through. There's only one way to get money today. It wasn't always like this, but this is how it is today. Somebody who has it has to give it to you, and if nobody has it, it has to be created, and then somebody has to give it to you. Right? That's what the Federal Reserve does. They create it, and then they give it away, and then they charge interest on it, which taxes the whole world. Private people doing that. Pretty fascinating, isn't it? But somebody has to give it to you. In fact, there's not another way of getting money today. Somebody has to give it to you. Now, you can have one person give you money like you do as an employee. I want you to contrast something here for a second. Let's say you're an employee. Let's say you follow the system. I want you to contrast an employee with, somebody who's a little bit smarter than an employee financially. We're not saying we're actually more intelligent. We're just saying financially a little bit smarter. An employee, here's what happens. One person that is extremely unreliable gives you money, and this is how you survive. So you have a boss that gives you money. You have a corporation that gives you money. One person. Well, you might consider that smart. But really, it's pretty dumb. Okay, you're not dumb if you do it. It's just pretty stupid once you understand that there's better ways. Now let's contrast that for a second. What if you could have a virtually unlimited amount of people from all sorts of different areas? What if you could have this many people all giving you money? Well, not only would your income be more stable, but you can make a lot more. Now here's a thing I learned from Tim Ferriss's book that was a real breakthrough for me. And I actually kind of came up with this, and then it was validated by reading his book. I started thinking about this, and I said, how can I get an amazingly huge amount of people to continuously give me money? That was my solution, right? That's not evil, it's not bad. I realize the whole system is just jacked up and bullshit anyways, is it not? And I said, so since the system is here, how can I get a lot of people to give me money? And how can I get them to keep giving me a lot of money consistently for the rest of my life? And that was a real question. Isn't that a good question? So if all money comes from is somebody giving it to you, and the only way that you can get it is by somebody who has it giving it to you, how can you get a lot of people to give it to you? Isn't that a good question? That's what business owners do. That's what corporations do. That's what Microsoft does. Heck, that's what the government does when they charge you taxes. They're saying, how can we get more people to give us free money? That's what the government is doing. But for us, it's a little bit different because, of course, we can't steal like the government can. So guess what we have to do? We have to say, how can we, abiding in all the laws and all the regulations that are going on in the world today, how can we get an incredible amount of people to give us money and keep doing it for the rest of their life and give us more money than they give anybody else in their life? Folks, that's the formula for getting rich. Now, you might not like that. You might think it's unethical. It's not unethical with one caveat here. that you do things that only end in other people's best interest. See, here's the amazing thing that I discovered when I started thinking about the laws of money. I said, okay, let's scratch school out, let's scratch cars out, let's scratch keeping up with the Joneses out, let's grow some crazy hair, and let's think about this for who we are. And this is what I started to think about. I started to think about, okay, why do people give other people money?